Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Multifamily Legacy Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Peterson. I've got a special guest today, and you're going to want to pay attention because he's got an amazing story. I want to introduce Ron Phillips. Ron Phillips is the founder and CEO of RP Capital. He's been doing this game a long time. He's ranked in the top 25% of the Inc. 5000. He has an amazing business, but more importantly, is the way that Ron does business. I think when you hear Ron's story of how he conducts himself and how he has his business serve him, most people that I know are not having businesses that serve them. They are like running around with their heads cut off, and their business is making them do lots of things, and it's not necessarily what they really want to do. Ron has mastered this, and he truly lives his life by design. So everybody, welcome to the show, Mr. Ron Phillips.
Awesome. Thank you, man. It's a pleasure to be here, buddy.
Yeah, man. You know, it's funny. You know, we just met last month? Was it last month that we had a little mastermind together?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good time, man. At least it was somewhere warm, you know?
Yes. You know, it's amazing how when you get into business, and maybe this is a good place for us to go, is talking about having your business work for you. And so can you just give a brief, or just give her a story of the Ron Phillips story of, where you started, how you got there, and because you went through some trials and tribulations.
Only a few, Corey. Only a few, man. Yeah, man. I started long time ago, dude. It's been like 2 decades ago. I started in real estate, and I was reading a book, Rich Dad's Guide to Investing. It's the first real estate book I ever read. And I had traded it to a salesperson buddy of mine. I traded Millionaire Mind to him. I started reading this book, and then I got the company was just going through some real challenges, and I got laid off. So there I was, no money, young family, and an idea from Robert Kiyosaki, So I answered an ad that I thought was actually an ad, millionaire seeks real estate apprentice, something like that, And I was so naive, I thought that was actually an ad. I showed up, and it was a big pitch fest for his boot camp. But it was a good pitch because I bought the thing.
Yeah.
I bought the thing. Went and learned how to do it, and that's where I got introduced to the seminar world, man. And I first started getting jaded about the seminar world a little bit because the guy's pitch was that, if I go find the deals and do all the work, he'll fund them, and then we split them 50-50. So I went out and found the perfect deal, exactly like what he taught us to do. Submitted it, and they denied it, and now here I am. I got no money. I got this potential deal. And for a day, man, I was just like, I was a little depressed, dude. I was like, this dude. But then I realized something, Corey. He taught me how to do it. Why do I need him?
Amen, brother.
So and it was kind of unique, man. I went in and I actually got an option on this place. And my option consideration was that I was going to fix the ceiling in her house because the ceiling in her house still had a stain. She had replaced the roof, but didn't fix the stain as you walk in the door. So nobody was going to buy her house. So my option consideration was that. And I didn't know how to do that either. So I went and I convinced my brother to help me. And we repaired the deal. Right after we repaired it, first person that walked in there bought it. And in just under 30 days, we made just under $20,000, and I was hooked in this real estate. So I went from an oh crap moment to another oh crap moment to screw this. I got to make this happen because my kids got to eat. My wife, here we are. It's go time.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the best place to be, right? Get backed up into a corner.
I think it is. I mean, it makes you solve for X, right? And it's amazing how when we're put in that spot, if it was easy, we always take the easiest route. But once it gets hard, like then all of a sudden you've got to really say, okay, what am I going to do? You know, I need to get from this place to this place. And then you just did it. I mean, that example of you was like, well, hell, why can't I just do it?
Yeah.
And you took action, you did it anyways.
He taught us about options and all this other stuff that we didn't need when we did his deal, right? We just go put it under contract. But, well, when he denied it, I was like, well, you know, I guess I'll just use the option thing then. I mean, I think the ace in the hole that I had was that I had been in sales. So I knew how to negotiate and I knew how to go in and talk to people. And so, yeah, man, I just started rehabbing houses after that. Went and took a few more seminars, learned how to rehab houses because I didn't know anything about that. But my brother did. So we partnered up, did that for several years. And then we hit another wall, man. That's how business is, I think. HUD changed their guidelines in Kansas City in the early 2000s, where you needed a year on title, season on title. And we had all these houses, man, and then I couldn't sell them. So now I got shoved into the rental business. I got shoved in, and I did not go quietly, man. I was pissed about it. You know, here I was completely out of business, and we had a good thing going, man. And overnight I was out of business through no fault of mine, just like done.
Yep,
you know,
somebody changed the rules, move the cheese.
Yep. So, man, I had to reinvent myself again. I finally realized after a little bit that this rental thing it's not such a bad gig, right, Corey?
Amen to that, brother.
Rents due every month. So then I realized that there's a bunch of people out there who wanted to do this and they're busy, can't do it. And so I thought, well, crap, here I've got a small little machine. What if I just augment this machine and then help all these other people buy while I'm buying too? And man, that worked out great. We sold hundreds and hundreds of properties. I've been doing that since 2005. That's what I do in my core business in my current companies. We help people invest all over the country. And man, it's been so much fun changing people's lives that way.
Yeah. I mean, I want to break that down for just a second because I want to make sure people understand what you do. Is you find, and you alluded to it in saying that these people are too busy. They all want to do real estate. These are a lot of people like doctors, dentists, lawyers, professional people, business people. They're making money.
Or hardworking savers. You know, there's a huge group of people out there that make really, really good money that are just hardworking folks, and they save their money and then they stick it in the stock market and lose it, and stick it back in the stock market and lose it. And they're frustrated and pissed off that they don't understand the rules of the game keep changing on them too.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And they want a solution. They want an alternative to the stock market because for most, that's the only investment opportunity that they know of. Right. And it's a rigged game as well. It's rigged for the big money. Wall Street money is who makes money in Wall Street.
Yep, absolutely. Don't get me started on that, man. It's the biggest crock. I'm you know.
Yeah, I'm jaded as well. Yeah.
I guess if you're a day trader, you know, although most of the day traders that I know go broke at some point too, because they really don't know what they're doing then either. So, yeah, man, it really is rigged. I mean, if you actually look, there's a couple of calculators online. People can Google them where you can see, depending on the time period, what your real gain is. And then you can see what they tell you your gain is. And it's like half. It's like half. If you're lucky, it's like half of what they tell you you're making.
Yeah. I came from that world, so I know, right? Yeah. And, you know, the game is just to take people's money.
Yeah.
And get commissions. And then if it goes all gone, there's just like, well, sorry, that's the market.
Right. Right. Yeah, and you made money on the way down too. Stockbroker makes money, doesn't matter if it goes up or down. Doesn't make any difference.
Right? It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Yet the only people that lose are the ones that are trying to save their money, trying to make it grow. Yep. And so what you do is you then go find these homes and like I said, you figure out how to fix them up and put some renters in there and then help your people buy those types of deals, right? Is that kind of?
Yeah, and we also do new construction as well, right? So we either work with builders, rehabbers, and we work in several different marketplaces. And we got older properties, brand new properties, everything in between. We got single family all the way up to fourplexes for the newer investors. And then we've been doing this long enough now that we've got some people who are ready for multifamily or for larger properties. And so we started to get into some smaller multifamilies as well.
Rock and roll, man. Well, and isn't that neat though? Like, you think of your core business. I mean, you've been doing your core business. I mean, so the cheese, and here's what I want to allude to. The cheese has still moved as far as a little bit like through the last 15 years, right?
Oh, yeah.
But rental properties still kind of stay the same.
Dude, this is the funny thing, Corey. I started doing presentations on my own in 2007. I would go out and speak. And the presentation that I did in 2007, other than some market updates, is the same damn presentation that I do. Well, I don't do them anymore, but it's the same one that's online evergreen right now that just kind of sits out there and educates people. It's the same thing. It's because people have been doing this since Moses was a baby. It's not new, right?
Right.
I mean, and the rules haven't changed. They really haven't changed. Now, some of the rules get better, like the government can make the rules better, or they can make them worse. But you don't need that one to succeed. You don't have to have the tax benefits to succeed. That's just a bonus. And currently, it's a really big fat bonus.
Oh,
right
currently
now.
It's a fat bonus. Now, I think it's going to lead to another problem, right?
Yeah.
So every time the government does something, they pull a sweat lever, hit a switch, and it all feels good until it's not. And so, and what Ron is alluding to is the new bonus in what's called depreciation or cost segregation depreciation, where you could, I'll give you an example. I just bought a $10 million property. I'm able to write off $3 million in year one. That's a huge write-off. And because I'm a real estate professional, Ron's a real estate professional, we can offset all our other income. So if we have other things that we're making income streams that usually would get taxed, well, we just slap in our cost segregation study and we pay no money.
And gone.
So how does that get abused? Easily, right?
Yeah, and and then the first people who are going to complain about it are the people who are the ones who wrote it into law. They're the ones who'll be complaining about it, calling it some horrible thing, right? And
they'll probably make another bubble, because I think there's so much, I'll call it, for lack of a better term, I'm going to call it stupid money, Ron. Now you've got people like back in the 80s, the saving, all I can think of is savings and loans crisis, right? Yeah. When people were buying stuff, they're like, I don't care, I'm losing money, it's a write-off. Right?
Oh yeah, such a bad idea.
I see the same thing happening right now with this bonus. Is like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to buy it, whether it runs or not. I'm getting my depreciation.
Corey, this doesn't even go back to the savings loan. This is 2006. People were buying properties all over the place with negative cash. They were buying them on negative amortization loans, for hell's sake, and they were paying $350,000 for a house that rented for $1,500. Now those numbers don't work on any day,
and
ever.
Any paper, any spreadsheet. I mean,
right? There's no way you can make that work. So they're negative cash flow every month. But since the real estate was going up in value 40% a year, they just cash out, refinance, and that's how they made their payments. And I would stand at the back of these presentations where people are saying this ridiculous stuff, and I'm sitting back there and I'm going, this sounds just like those idiots that think that you can just balance transfer on your credit card and eventually someday it goes away, right? I mean, it doesn't go away. At some point you got to pay it. And
sometimes you got to pay the piper.
I mean, at some point the real estate market is going to stop. It's going to stall out, or it's going to dive. And then all the people who did this for tax deductions after the first 3-4 years, well, then what happens? I mean, it doesn't cash flow.
House of cards.
Yeah.
It starts the boop, 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 default. And now here's what I think is going to happen. And I'm not, I love to go fishing, and I love it. And I mean, I think the pond is going to be ripe in about 3 or 4 years, because all that's going to go on, there's going to be a bunch of idiots, and there's going to be lots of opportunity. for guys that know how to catch the right bait, use the right bait.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree, man. Too many people are buying really skinny deals, and I'm not sure what they're thinking, dude, but they're buying really skinny deals and they're super excited about it. That's all I know. Super excited about it.
Do you feel like, I always feel like, Ron, the guru education systems out there, right? They're failing people. Because if you look at a lot of information guys, they're there to sell you something. They're not there to try to make sure that you do it right or that they protect you, or try to train you. All they want is your money.
And I've spent my entire career like that, being the opposite of that, right? We give away all of our education.
I'm the same way.
Just give it away. I mean, I give it away, and then the only thing you can buy from me is actually real estate. That's the same as you. Like if you want to do something with Corey, you're going to invest in a fund, right? You're going to make money somehow.
Yep.
People pay so much money for education, and then A, they don't do anything, which is, that's their fault, right?
Yep.
But B, I think a lot of these people are told that it's super easy, and then they realize that they have to know how to negotiate. And most of these education programs, they're great at the nuts and bolts of deal making, of structure and stuff like that. But when it comes down to sitting belly to belly with another human being and telling them that their house isn't worth, $200,000, it's only worth $100,000. That's a whole different ball game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's where it gets real quick, huh?
Sales, negotiation, and those things are just not taught, man. And I truly believe that's why I was so successful out of the gate. It's because I already had those skills.
Right. No, that makes sense. All right. And that is a hard skill to teach, right? I mean, it's not just one of those things that are like, oh, well, you can check the box 1, 2, and 3, and you're gonna win. It is not like that.
No, it's years of experience of getting told no because you screwed it up. That creates a good negotiator. I mean, that's a skill, man. It's developed over time.
Yeah. Ron, so I know you just launched a new podcast, and I actually helped promote it, and because I think I just know what you stand for. I think you have nothing but integrity and what you do. And what can you just share your podcast?
Yeah, man, it's called Get Real Estate, and where we get real about real estate. Man, I really appreciate you promoting it. People can go to getrealestatesuccess.com and subscribe. I'd love it. Shoot me a 5-star and all that good stuff. Really would appreciate that. But man, the whole purpose of it is just to educate people about the good, bad, the ugly, about real estate, business, and life, and how all three of those intersect, which kind of goes back to your point up front, right? I think people get lost. They get into business, and the reason they got into business initially is because they wanted freedom. And then once the business starts growing, the freedom goes out the window. It's just grow, 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 grow. And it encompasses their entire life. And they completely lose sight of why they started the business in the first place, which was, what is it? Sunshine and palm trees on your turn?
Yeah. Hey, listen, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm the first one to say I'm guilty, right? Listen, here I am on a podcast, and I've been teaching and coaching, but even Corey Peterson is looking at, my life and saying, hey, is this info business serving me, right? And it will, but it has to, being an educator can be a daunting task. Yeah. Daunting. Now, what I really love to do is this podcast. This is one of my favorites.
Which educates people, and it does it in a unique way, right? You have the ability to interview people and find out what makes them tick. There's a common thread in most stories, Corey, but every story's different. And I think it inspires people when you're able to tell them the truth about this stuff, right? That it's not easy, but it's worth it. But it's way worth it when you can actually do sunshine and palm trees on your terms, and take your friends and your family. I mean, both of us have experienced that, and man, it is so cool to be able to take people and let them experience things that otherwise they wouldn't be able to experience, the Bahamas and Mexico and Europe and all these cool places where, some people in my family and some of my friends wouldn't be able to experience that stuff.
Yeah.
We're able to
Supplier
take
of fun. Didn't you just go on a or was that Sean? No, that was Sean. He went on a motorcycle trip or some kind of trip where he just brought a lot of his friends, right? But you've done these trips too. You just what you're talking about, Europe, that stuff like that. You just take people that you care about, your friends and family, and like, hey, let's go on a trip. And I've kind of got it.
It's just, it builds memories, man. And that's what this is all about. My kids will never forget the memories that they made with grandma and grandpa and with, aunts and uncles and, and friends and people like that in some of the coolest places in the world. They won't forget the Europe trip we took last year as a family. I guarantee you they won't forget that.
I won't forget it either.
Yeah. I mean, it's just cool. It's just
cool.
Why? Why?
Because you gave me a gift.
Yeah.
You got a picture of you in my Rents Due shirt.
That's right.
And where was that at? It was in some cool spot. But
I want to say it was either Barcelona or somewhere in Italy. I can't remember.
It was an epic picture, dude. I always think of that picture. I was like, that one is one of my faves, dude. One of my faves.
Yeah, man. Rent's due in Europe too, buddy. Rent's due everywhere, Corey.
So how have you been able to structure, this life, Ron? I mean, like, can you kind of allude to, so you have the business, it's working. How did you not get too big, or where like you,
well, let's go back. Cause I did, because right. You always do it wrong before you do it right. We did, man. We got huge. We sold, we got to the point where I say huge for me, man, but still my overhead was ridiculous. And, it got to the point where we were selling 2 times the amount of properties we did the year before. And the real big wake up call for me, Corey, was one day I get a call from my accountant. He tells me what my tax bill is. And I had a small coronary, man, because the tax bill equaled what I took home out of the business, which means Ron made net $0. Worked all year, $0. That was the day that everything changed for me. That was the day, right? Because I'm like, okay, this has got to be different, or I'm gonna just go get a job. This is stupid. Why would I do this, right?
Right.
But to go back to your point, man, it's
you had another problem, right, that you had to solve.
Yeah, it's all about people. It's all about people. This business, and I get so pissed off, Corey, when I'm on Facebook and I scroll down and somebody's like, self-made this and self-made that, and and they never talk about their team. Self-made nothing, dude. You can't go do anything by yourself in this world. Nothing. I don't care if you're the one who's rehabbing the house, buying the house, selling the house, and everything else. You still have closing agents. You still probably have real estate agents you work with. You still have people on your team. And it's about time people started realizing that you're not self-made and that there's a team that's behind you. My team is awesome. And without them, I couldn't live the lifestyle that I have. But on my team, when Ron's on vacation, Ron's on vacation. I don't get calls. I don't get emails. I don't have my computer. But guess what? Angela's on vacation right now. And guess how many phone calls she got?
0.
She didn't get any emails. She didn't get any phone calls. She gets vacation when she goes on vacation, right? So it's about treating your team like you want to be treated. It's not all about number one all the time, So does the business serve me? Yes, I built it around my personal vision, which I think is critically important, that you have a personal vision that has nothing to do with your business, and then you wrap your business around it. And then, Corey, you got to get the right people on the bus. They've got to be completely in tune with your core values. And then it's fun. Then this game is really, really fun. And and you help them. You create leaders inside of your organization, and let them lead. Let them grow.
Oh man, that's awesome. What you're saying is kind of letting go of your ship, of the control, and which a lot of people, that is a very taboo. Though, I got to have control. But the sooner you put your systems in place, and you allude to what you just said, hiring the right people in the right seats, give them, and then have proper training, and then give them that leadership. Let them go make their own mistakes a little bit, right?
Yeah. What is it? Ronald Reagan said, "Trust but verify." Right?
Yeah.
You can't you can't just like, peace out, I'll be back in a year, and expect things to be cool, right? You still have to have your finger on the pulse of your money and how things are being run, but you can't be so scared that somebody's going to fail at something that you don't allow them the opportunity to fail. I just talked about how many failures that I went through. Every single one of those I learned. And if I take the opportunity away from my team to have those learning experiences, then, well, they're not going to learn anything.
Yeah, you're not going to grow. You're not going to be able to. It's still going to be the Ron show.
Yeah, and I don't want it to be the Ron show, right? I'd prefer it to be RP Capital sitting out there and nobody knows what the RP stands for. I'd prefer that personally,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's where it's all done, man. It's all team, baby.
So there's a movie, I think I've talked about this before, but The Devil's Advocate. I don't know if you ever watched that movie. You ever watched The Devil's Advocate?
I don't know.
Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino. And Al Pacino, of course, plays the devil, right? But
right.
The thing is, and then Keanu Reeves plays this guy named Kevin. He's a really successful lawyer. And Al Pacino owns the firm, right? And so there's a part where they're going on the subway, and Al Pacino is dressed in like plain clothes, looks like a normal guy on the street. Yet he owns this whole huge successful firm, right? And then Kevin is like the sharp dressed, perfect lawyer, guy, suit. I'm Mr. Showboat, right?
Yep.
And one of the quotes, he goes, Kevin, the problem with you is that everybody sees you coming, and, sometimes, what am I looking for? The word, if you're anonymous, that's bliss, right? You want to be a successful business owner that no one knows that you're even successful. You can just be your average cat and let all your team get the glory, dude.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be anyway, right? They're the one. Listen, if you're the one doing all the work in your company, you're doing something wrong, right? And if you're not the one doing all the work in the company, well, then what the hell do you? Why should you get any of the glory of the work that they did? Cash the checks, be grateful, and let your team have all of that. Let them have it, and then treat them right financially as well. Don't take advantage of people. I see on Facebook too, man. These guys, like, they have churn in their company like I've never seen before. I'm like, well, what are you doing that is causing people to want to extricate themselves after 1 week? What is it, right? I mean, come on. People don't realize how important, some people, right, don't realize how important the people in this business are. In every business, for that matter.
You've said it like 3 times now. So like, and it is the success formula, right? It's about people in real estate, right? And I believe almost every business. I mean, what's the mitigating factor? It's people. It always
100%.
is. I mean,
100%. Take an apartment complex, Corey. What is it full of? It's full of people. Who is it that's on site running that? It's your team. It's your people. To the extent that you have any success at all, it's going to be because of the people who are there running that business on your behalf.
Yeah. And realizing that we have people that live in our community, right?
Right.
They're not paychecks. They're actually humans.
That's right.
And treat them with dignity and respect and create a good product. That's what people want. That's
absolutely 100%. And it doesn't matter if you're not in the real estate business, then whatever business you're in, it's the same thing. It's just a different product.
Yeah.
That's all. And you have to treat them that way, man.
And do you know that I feel like the most successful companies are good companies. I'm thinking about a restaurant that I used to manage named Charleston's. And
I love that name.
Yeah. And it was like, it's a real nice steakhouse. But from the day that we would say, hey, listen, it's kind of like, we're RP Capital, we're Charleston's, right? We do it differently. And you are special. So like that was our training. The first day we have a training class for the servers, we're letting them know, like, you guys are special.
Right.
You're not just an Outback steak. This is not Outback Steakhouse. This is not whatever. This is Charleston's, right? And we have a certain code that we do things by, and it's going to elevate you to the rest. And that you've been through a qualification process means you're special.
Yep.
And it starts like with that grooming. And I think that's what the most successful businesses have, some type of identity. And that's what I want to, because I know you've done EOS, we'll call it attraction with your company, right?
It was a game changer for us.
You want to explain a little bit about that? Because I think this is really what
it all hinges on it all hinges on a company purpose and core values, right? So my company's purpose is through service, we build people. So when we tell people that in the hiring process, if they don't get jazzed about that, then they aren't our people. If they don't get jazzed about serving other people and through that service, building up other human beings, they don't belong in my company. Right. And then we have core values too, man. The core values are really, really important to us. Integrity, loyalty, own it, and fun. Those are our 4 core values. And we have definitions for each one of those, right? But the funniest one is fun. And we explain it to people in the interview process. Like, look, fun is a choice, just like us allowing you to work here. And if you don't have a sense of humor, you won't last here. I mean, it's not possible. Because we work hard, we play hard, and sometimes we play hard when we should be working hard. That's how it is at our office. All right. And so, we live, we reward, we fire, we hire, we do everything by our core values and our purpose. So everybody's on the same team, everybody's running the same direction. We all treat everybody the same way because we all internally at our core have those values.
Wow. Now that's powerful, Ron. Like, if you're listening right now, what Ron just said, I'm just telling you right now, play it back and write it down, because at the essence of business, I think this is really what most people are striving for. And it's culture, it's company purpose, core values, everybody on the bus thinking the same way. That's got to be like the most. Now, I'm assuming you didn't get there overnight, right? Like,
oh no, dude. So look, here's how this works. Let me tell everybody how this works. So I had been we did this 3 or 4 years ago now. I can't remember. Okay. Before that, we would hire people and interview process. Everything's, on paper, in person, everything matches, right? So take a salesperson, for instance. Bring in a salesperson. They've sold, they have a track record. Everything checks out. They get in there and it just doesn't work. And I'm banging my head. I'm thinking, why the hell won't this work? Then we go through this process. Right after you get through with the process, then you got to go through and you take everybody on your team and you say, you grade them. Do they fit? Do they fit our core values, right? Then you go through all of your partner organizations. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is painful because I made a decision. Well, as a team, we made a decision as an executive team. We were like, look, anybody who doesn't fit, we're cutting them. I'm going to tell you right now, I cut top salesmen, 90% of my business, boom, out the door. Ooh. I cut huge suppliers of investors, done. And I cut 2 or 3 property suppliers didn't fit. And then we went to lenders, all of our people. And once I had chop, what I had left was scary because I had chopped revenue, I had chopped inventory, I had chopped all this stuff. But let me tell you what, man, we had a solid base at that point. You know what started to happen? Our partner organizations would call us back and they're like, oh man, I'm glad you got rid of those people, man, because they just didn't match you. Like we did business with you, and then there was these other people, they didn't fit, man, and I'm glad you got rid of them.
Yeah.
And then we had clients, the clients would go, man, I really didn't like those people in that era. I'm glad you got rid of those people. And you know what? Some of the suppliers of the people, of the investors that were coming in, those investors were the biggest. Like if you actually looked at our customer service, the biggest challenges we had were from the people who didn't match our core values. And so during that year, we took a dive in on the first 6 months. I think I lost money the first 6 months we did that. After that though, oh my gosh. And you've never seen a team pitch in and say, we've got this, like my team did after we cleaned house.
Dude.
So no, it's not overnight. It took us 6 months. And then after that, we still made a couple of hires that weren't right, and we had to get rid of them and stuff like that. But I'm here to tell you, if you can get your people right on the core value piece, you can move them around inside your company. Because finding someone who has your core values is more important. You can teach the skill set. Almost always you can teach the skill set. But you can't teach core values, man. You either got them or you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, man. That is an amazing story, Ron. Thanks for sharing, because I've heard it a little bit. I've never heard it in that context to see, the pain of, I mean, I can only imagine, because like the fear sometimes, like, because, our brain wants to trick us sometimes, right? Of, oh, I'm going to let go of my top sales guy. Revenue is going to be like
90% of my business. 90, not 19, 90%.
Oh, now, what gave you the confidence to do that?
Dude, it wasn't even confidence, man. It was just
knowing that it was the right thing.
I knew that if and here's what turned out, and I think you probably heard this at Collective Genius or somewhere, but the reality is if I would have kept all of these people, I probably would have been out of business in a couple of years anyway, because what I found out after I did all of this was all of the seedy crap that's going on under the scene. I didn't know about any of that stuff. And nobody told me about that stuff, because you don't want to be ratting on other people, right? Nobody wants to rat on the supplier. Nobody wants to rat on the person, bringing the investors. And I think to some degree, to your point, I think a lot of businesses just think that's how business is,
Yeah.
I can't let this guy go, or this girl go, or this team go over here because it's so much business. Well, then you just work your butt off and replace them,
Just like that.
And it took us 6 months to bounce back from that. But after the bounce.
Yeah, you're 4 years after. Yeah, you're 4 years after now, right? And
yeah, and I have a team that literally walked through fire. You want to talk about bringing your team closer together? How about appreciating the people who actually are performing using your core values, who are treating your clients the way that they should? Because when you do that, and when you have people's backs, like if some a-hole calls my office and rips one of my team members, done. You don't get to buy property from us anymore. You don't get to call here anymore. You get no help from my company anymore. You're done. You're done.
Yep.
And when you do that, the person who usually is considered low on the totem pole, right?
Yep.
They respect the hell out of that. It binds them to you, and it binds the team together, because the team now has confidence that you as the leader have their back.
Oh man, that's powerful.
You got to do that for your team members, man. You can't choose money over people. Can't choose money over people. Because some of those people, like one of the guys that we fired, he's a big investor, man. He had millions and millions of dollars. Just because you have millions of dollars doesn't mean you get to talk to
doesn't give you the right to be a douchebag, right?
No, you don't get to do that, man. And the sooner in life you realize that, the sooner, the better off, right? So if it's my turn to help you realize you're a douchebag, believe me, baby, I'm gonna help you realize it real quick.
Well, and life's better that way, right? It just is.
I can't believe you got to be 50 years old and nobody told you were a douchebag. So let me make sure you understand real quick.
And this is my girl and my team. You don't ever you don't put baby in the corner.
No.
Oh, man. Ron, listen, I want to take just a moment just to say thank you so much for and the valuable insight into opening up your business a little bit and understanding that it truly is about people, vision, purpose, and really service. I mean, for you, I always feel as the leader, sometimes your whole goal, at least from your perspective, and I believe it as well, is to get out of the way and support your people, put them on the pedestal.
Yeah, build them up. I think a lot of people, Corey, have a fear that when you build people up, eventually they're going to leave.
Yeah.
And my thought process is, how much it doesn't get any better than to take somebody and teach them enough that they can go fly on their own and be successful. Why would you hold them back at that point? And if they go out and be successful, it multiplies my success. That's all it does. I don't need their money, but that success that I was able to generate in some way, it multiplies my success.
Goes back to changing lives too, Ron.
It does, man. It does, man. People need to get out of this scarcity mindset and understand the fact that, if you can help people become who they really are here to become, man, it just pays back so many different.
You get rewarded tenfold. I mean,
every time, every single time. Can't be scared about stuff like that. You got to let people grow in your organization, and if they end up flying, well, then you should be proud of them.
Yes, and they're going to look back and say, that guy helped me, right? I mean,
yes.
It's just, if you do it the right way, it'll always be that way. They'll always be like, I'll never forget you. I mean, there's people in my life that I can look back and I would say to their face, I will never forget what you did for me, right? So my first met David Lindahl. I mean, he taught me the multifamily business. I'll always be grateful that he went out and started to teach. Because if it wasn't for him,
life, man. Sunshine and palm trees wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I would never be doing it.
And then if you look at it too, Corey, you look at David and he goes, okay, I've taught however many tens of thousands of people he's taught now, because he was at the seminar I took in the early 2000s. The man has been around a while, right? You look now and you say, he goes, and he probably knows that you're doing what you're doing, but he doesn't know about everybody. He doesn't know about everybody that's doing what you're doing, or that's helping one or two or three or four or five people to grow into multifamily or to other things like that. And if you could actually see all the layers, the ripples that go out from the one pebble that's dropped, if you could see that, you would be shocked and amazed at what you can do to change the world. It's that one little pebble. It just touches a lot of lives, man, because you've touched a lot of lives. That's indirect. That's indirect from David, right?
Yeah. And that's how life works. I mean, we're talking about people today. Forget real estate.
It's all people.
All people. Listen, Ron, thank you for your time, brother. Any last best pieces of advice that you could give our listeners on people or business or anything out there? What piece of advice would you want to give?
Okay, on people, I would just say be kind. You don't know what's going on in their life. In addition to that, you don't know you don't know what your kindness is going to do. It may save a life. You don't know. So just be kind.
What's your best book?
Oh man, I love The Compound Effect, dude. I love it. And the reason I love it, I was on the chiropractor table this morning, Corey, and she started to say something. I said, yeah, you should read a book called Compound Effect, man. It's because it's always working. It's always working. It's either working for you or it's working against you. You don't get a choice. It's always working, right? So read the book and try to figure out how to make it work for you. Because financially, spiritually, emotionally, in every single way in your life, the compound effect is working. We just talked about it with people. We just talked about that is the compound effect. Well, it's the exact same way in money. And it's either working for you or against you, one of the two. It's always working. It never sleeps. Incidentally, your money shouldn't be sleeping either. I mean, we didn't talk about money today very much, but unfortunately, money does not ask for a vacation. And most people in America put it on like a permanent holiday. And I do not understand that. It never asks for time off, Corey, ever.
No. And the problem with a lot of people's money is they have it sleeping.
Yep. It's on vacation somewhere, but you're not. Just remember that. Yeah. When you put your money on vacation, that means you don't get to go.
Ron, if someone wanted to get a hold of you that had investment ideas or wanted to get their money not sleeping and into an awake stage, where do they go? How do they find you?
Online at rpcinvest.com, stands for RP Capital, rpcinvest.com. That's the easiest way to get to us. You can find us at Get Real Estate Success too. GetRealEstateSuccess.com. That's our new podcast. I'd love you to stop by and listen. I love doing podcasts. This is so much fun, Corey.
Yeah, it is, dude. It really is. This is my almost year and a half. I'm a year and a half into it. And I will tell you, out of all the things that I do, this is by far my favorite, right? I do a 50-50 mix. Sometimes I just teach, right? I just want to give things that happen. And usually when I come with like problems on deals that I'm working, I'm like, this is a good way to teach, right? Because I'm having an issue, let's talk about it. But then I also love having the, guests like you, Ron, like where we just talk, and this is normally how it happens is we didn't really talk about what we're going to talk about today.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, people may go, yeah, it shows. But no, they just usually kind of morph into what they're supposed to, Corey. That's what I've learned being a guest on people's podcasts. That's the reason I started a podcast, is because this is so much fun.
I learned stuff like this compound effect, right? I'm going to go get this book. I mean, I love like finding little nuggets, little things. I've learned more from other people this year by doing a podcast than I ever thought imaginable, right? You learn more from other people just by doing a podcast, because when you have guests on, they're smart as hell. And you're like, gosh, I never thought about that.
Everybody looks at stuff a different way. And yeah, I mean, reading and listening to other people and being around successful people, success breeds success. It just does. So I appreciate the opportunity to be on and to serve your people. I hope everybody enjoyed it, Corey. And then, I'm super pumped to have you on mine just as soon as I get my crap together.
Well, listen.
But I'm excited about it, man.
Oh, cool. Guys, so listen, take the time, go to rpc.com or go check out his podcast. Again, remember, in this life, what you think and believe is so powerful. And if you think it and believe it, you can achieve it. And your paradise is possible.